As the last beams of my lakeside cabin collapsed into the water, I stood paralyzed watching the self-satisfied smirk spread on the made-up face of our HOA president, Vanessa Caldwell, her ring of sycophants applauding like they just fought a war. They thought they'd break me. What they didn't understand was that I'd been quietly taping every step, every threat, every infraction for months. The fight was far from over, and they'd chosen the wrong man to mess with. 3 years ago, I lost my wife Emily to cancer. On one of her better days, her voice weak but her eyes bright, she'd made me promise James build that little cabin by the lake. Let Sophie grow up watching sunsets like we did when we fell in love. Emily never saw that dream come to life, but I was determined to make it real for our daughter. As the county's land permit director for over a decade, I had the system down pat. I double-checked every permit-filed property lines and made sure the land tucked by a still lake just beyond the Willow Creek HOA's boundary was ideal. They would not have seen it that way, but I was prepared. The day we broke ground was magic. Sophie, my 12-year-old artist with her mother's sage soul, wore Emily's sun hat from years past and shoveled the first dirt with a smile that was a carbon copy of her mom's. "Mom would love this, Dad," she said. We kept it small, just me, Sophie, my old mentor, Henry Brooks, a 65-year-old hardware store owner who gave me my first county job, and Rachel Hayes, our neighbor and a sharp real estate lawyer. The spring breeze kept the bugs at bay, and we'd just marked the foundation when Vanessa came along, strutting in a cheap designer knockoff jacket and heels ridiculous for a lakeside. Her peroxide blonde hair swayed as she snapped, "What do you think you're doing?" "James, this is against HOA rules. Section 23.4 requires board approval, me approval." Henry snorted behind me. Vanessa was notorious, fired from a real estate company for her control freak tendencies. Now dictating Willow Creek like her personal thief, I held up my permit folder. Calm but firm. "This falls outside your jurisdiction." "Vanessa, I've checked the county surveys. Everything's by the book." She didn't flinch, just glared through oversized sunglasses. The following day, an HOA violation notice arrived in my mailbox, threatening that I must cease or pay $500 per day. Fines, I discarded it in the recycling. But 3 days later, Vanessa summoned an emergency HOA meeting, calling my cabin a blight on property values. I explained to the 20 neighbors present that the cabin was eco-friendly, modest, and on my land. Some nodded. Vanessa's crony scowled. Her deputy, Greg Larson, a 48-year-old gym chain owner, growled, "Rules are rules, James. Your county job doesn't make you untouchable." The meeting degenerated into threats of all necessary action. Rachel caught me outside. "Be wary. James, Vanessa's vengeful." A week later, a letter from Vanessa's husband. Paul Caldwell, a corporate attorney, threatened suits for aesthetic infractions. This was personal. Now, Sophie discovered the letter one morning, her voice shaking. "Dad, is this about our cabin?" I embraced her, quoting Emily, "Don't let the turkeys get you down." But inside I was furious. Rachel read over the letter in her office amidst shelves of law books. "This is harassment," she told me. "Your land's out of their grasp, but Vanessa's determined to destroy you because you're not afraid of her. She told me to keep track of everything I put in security cameras and continued with construction. Henry procuring discounted timber, Vanessa's assault-mounted day-by-day calls to my office claiming false code infractions. My boss, Tom Reynolds, 52, shook his head. She's claiming your foundation's too near the water. We've given it permission twice, but the objections were stressing my staff. Then I saw Greg's unauthorized backyard pool on a routine check. I waited to report it, hoping for quiet. That hope was killed when Sophie phoned me during a training session for the county frantic dad. Mrs. Caldwell's arrived with Mr. Larison and others. They're snooping around the lake and won't go away. I sprinted home, phoning Rachel. When I got there, Vanessa's team was at my property line, eyeing the half-finished foundation. Sophie stood in the kitchen, shaking with fear. "Get off my land," I snapped. Vanessa smiled. "Ha, inspection, it's okay." I retorted, not without notice. Not on my property and not involving my daughter. Greg moved forward, flexing like a thug. I didn't move. Mentioned Sophie again, and I'm calling the sheriff. Rachel's car arrived and Vanessa's crew slunk away, her muttering, "This isn't over." That night, Sophie whispered, "Mrs. Caldwell told, you're on top of the law and you'll lose your job." I reassured her, but her question cut deep. Will she shut down Mom's cabin? I vowed, nobody's shutting us down. At the following HOA meeting, I called out Vanessa. "Leave my daughter out of this." She smirked, hinting at her county board connections. "Your job's not as secure as you think, James." Then I found someone had falsified my cabin's county files, tampering with measurements to fake violations. The log pointed to Tom's credentials, but he swore it wasn't him. That night, my construction site was trash. Cement bags, slashed lumber, ruined cameras, disabled. Standing in the rain, I decided no more playing nice. Henry gave me military cameras refusing payment. Emily deserves this cabin. Vanessa's next move was a pathetic protest. Her crew waving signs about property values. I ignored them, but she filed a county complaint. Tom called me in uneasy Commissioner Harris' directive to allow review. He golfs with Paul Caldwell. Rachel dropped a bombshell. The HOA had illegally encroached on its property in 2018 without approval from homeowners, making their claim on my property fraudulent. As the cabin progressed to 60% completion, I had a county meeting. Harris accused me of a conflict of interest, but I was blindsided when Sophie called sobbing, "Dad, they're destroying the cabin." I ran home. Tom trailing, half the cabin was rubble, Vanessa gloating, Greg by her side. Sophie sobbed on the porch while Rachel quarreled with the crew. I bellowed, "Stop, you have no right." The foreman flashed a letterhead, HOA, not a county directive. Tom stood behind me. "No permit for demolition is in place. Stop now." Vanessa feigned innocence, but as the last beams fell, Sophie's shriek shattered me. I confronted Vanessa, voice low. "You just made your biggest mistake." She smiled. "We'll see." I spun our dining room into war room. Rachel's maps proved the hose boundary grab illegal. I excavated county records, discovering violations. Greg's pool, Vanessa's unauthorized gym, and more. Rachel uncovered ex-members' stories of Vanessa's money scams, luxury research trips on HOA tab. Henry learned the Caldwells had an HOA takeover history and lawsuits. Tom confessed Harris bullied him into marking my permits. Sophie, motivated by Emily's declaration about bullies, showed me her redesigned cabin plans. "We'll build better," she said. I nodded. "But to start, we take care of Vanessa." I requested audits on Greg's pool and 5 other HOA allies' infractions, triggering $20,000 in penalties. Vanessa called an HOA meeting, accusing me of a grudge. I retaliated with the 2018 boundary hoax, handing out evidence. Neighbors blew their tops, requiring answers. Olivia Harper, a 41-year-old teacher, questioned Vanessa's spendering. Vanessa stormed out, her power collapsing. 20 homeowners signed affidavit against her. Vanessa burst into my office, threatening my job. I produced her file violations, financial fraud, neighbor testimonies. She proposed a $25,000 settlement, unaware that I was taping. "Is that a bribe?" I inquired. She walked back, then threatened to destroy me. An ethics investigation, obviously. Vanessa's hand limited my permit authority. Rachel sought an injunction against the HOA with bribery counts. The county hearing was a circus, Vanessa and Paul smug. My friends packed in. Paul accused me of being corrupt. I debased his fib with permit documents. Sophie's emotional testimony about Emily's dream silenced the room. Rachel played the bribe recording and tampered records were revealed. Neighbors testified to Vanessa's bullying and fraud. The board cleared me, suspended the HOA, and demanded Vanessa's resignation. She raged, threatening lawsuits, but her supporters turned against her. Vanessa was faced with $30,000 in reimbursement investigations and a $70,000 judgment for the cabin. She and Paul escaped. Their house for sale, Greg's property, went on the market cheap. Olivia led a new HOA restoring fair rules. Commissioner Harris took leave amid questions of tampering. Tom approved my new permits, Spring saw a rebuild of the community. Henry, Rachel, even Tom hammered in with neighbors. Sophie's designs revealed Emily's spirit in each detail. Rachel and I became close, her hand in mine, as we shared sunsets. At the opening of the cabin, Olivia gave a windchime in appreciation for community support. Sophie placed Emily's photo on the wall, querying, "Would Mom like it?" I embraced her. She'd love it. Henry's last gift was a carved gavel. Justice must allow no how. On the porch, late glinting, I felt Emily. "We did it," I whispered. The breeze seemed to answer, "I knew you would."